The Galactic Testing Administrator's crystalline form flickered with disbelief as the human delegation stood calmly in the observation chamber. Outside the transparent steel windows, the Class 13 Deathworld simulation raged: volcanic storms, gravity fluctuations that could crush steel, and atmospheric poison that killed in seconds. "Excuse me," the lead human said, checking her watch, "but when does the actual challenge begin?" The administrator's assistant whispered urgently, "Sir, they've been in there for 6 hours. The previous record was 43 seconds. "This has to be a mistake," the administrator muttered, watching humans playing cards while lava erupted nearby. No species survives a Class 13 simulation. The Galactic Council had created the Deathworld classification system to evaluate species' survival capabilities. Most civilized worlds ranked Class 1 to 3, garden paradises with minimal dangers. Military species prided themselves on handling Class 5 to 6 environments. Class 10 was considered the theoretical maximum for carbon-based life. Class 13 was meant to be impossible, a combination of every lethal environmental factor cranked beyond reason. "Welcome, humans, to your species evaluation," the administrator had announced that morning with the smugness of someone about to humble newcomers. "You've requested to bypass the standard testing tiers. Very well. We'll start you at Class 8. Actually, Dr. Sarah Chan, the human team leader, had interjected. "We'd like to try the highest setting you've got. We brought lunch, so we have time." "The highest is Class 13, the administrator had warned. "It's not meant to be survived. It's meant to show the mathematical limits of hostile environments." "Perfect," Chen had smiled. "My team specializes in hostile environments. Johnson here grew up in Australia." Now, 6 hours later, the administrator watched Johnson teaching other humans a game involving the deadly crystalline formations, using them as improvised playing pieces. The toxic atmosphere that should have melted their lungs? They'd somehow figured out a breathing rhythm that neutralized it. The crushing gravity waves? They were surfing them. "How is this possible?" the assistant asked, tentacles trembling. "The acid rain alone should have dissolved them." Through the observation speakers, they heard Marine Captain Rodriguez explaining to the younger team members, "This reminds me of training camp in Alaska, except warmer and with better visibility." "Sir," Technician Vrex called out, they're taking notes. Scientific observations. They're studying the environment while it tries to kill them." Indeed, Dr. Chen was collecting samples of the poisonous flora which had evolved to be maximally lethal to any conceivable biology. She handled them barehanded, occasionally pausing to scratch notes on her waterproof tablet. "Fascinating. These toxins are similar to Earth's box jellyfish, but more alkaline. Jenkins, come feel this texture." "Shut it down," the administrator ordered. "There's clearly a malfunction." "No malfunction, sir," Vrex reported. "All systems operating at peak lethality. The humans are just adapting." Through the speakers, they heard Chen addressing her team. "All right, everyone, we've got the basic survival patterns documented. Should we start the actual testing now?" "Testing?" the administrator squeaked. "Well, yes," Chen responded, somehow aware she was being monitored. "We need to establish baseline data before we can push ourselves. This is just the warm-up, right?" The council chamber erupted. 20 different species representatives had gathered to watch humanity's inevitable failure. Instead, they were witnessing something that challenged their understanding of biology itself. "Increase to Class 14, someone suggested desperately. "There is no Class 14, the administrator protested. "Class 13 is already past the theoretical maximum." "Then make one," the Zafrani ambassador demanded. "Add more hazards. Psychic storms. Temporal anomalies. Carnivorous light. Carnivorous light isn't even a real thing. Then invent it." As the scientists frantically programmed new parameters, the humans noticed the environment changing. Temporal rifts opened, aging and de-aging matter randomly. Psychic emanations that drove other species mad washed over them. The very photons became predatory, seeking organic matter to consume. Rodriguez looked around with interest. "Oh cool, they're actually trying now." What followed defied every model of survivability. When temporal rifts threatened them, the humans used them strategically, aging toxic materials until they became harmless. The psychic storms? Apparently, human minds were already so chaotic that adding more chaos just made them feel a bit buzzy, according to Johnson. The carnivorous light was the most successful. It managed to give them mild sunburns. "I've got an idea," Dr. Chen announced after hour 10. "Let's make this educational. Who wants to learn about extremophile bacteria? She began teaching a class. In the middle of the deadliest environment ever conceived, surrounded by literally everything that could kill carbon-based life, the humans set up an impromptu university. Chen drew diagrams in the caustic sand, explaining how Earth's most resilient organisms survived in conditions that would terrify most galactic species. You see, she explained, while casually dodging a sentient tornado made of glass shards, Earth has places called deep-sea thermal vents where, duck please Johnson, where life thrives in conditions most of you would consider class 8 or 9. Our bodies carry that evolutionary heritage. The administrator had stopped trying to hide his nervous breakdown. They're not just surviving. They're thriving. They're teaching. Sir, Vrex announced weakly, the human designated Johnson is... He's trying to pet one of the plasma entities. Of course he is, the administrator said, beyond surprise. He watched Johnson slowly extend his hand toward a being of pure destructive energy, making soft cooing noises. That's a creature of living antimatter. It exists only to annihilate. The plasma entity paused, confused by the total lack of fear. It had never encountered prey that responded to its presence with, "Here, kitty kitty." After a moment of existential uncertainty, it allowed Johnson to pat what might generously be called its head. "I shall name him Sparky," Johnson announced proudly. The final straw came in hour 12. The humans hadn't just survived everything thrown at them, they'd started improving the simulation. Chen's team had begun terraforming small sections, creating what they called rest areas, where the lethality dropped to merely class 10. "We should probably leave some danger," Chen mused. "For educational purposes. Future teams might want to experience this." "Future teams?" the administrator shrieked. "Well, yes. This would make an excellent training ground for our colonists. Earth is lovely, but we've mostly tamed it. This reminds us of the good old days when nature was properly trying to kill us. Very nostalgic." The simulation finally shut down after 15 hours. Not because the humans failed, but because the testing equipment overheated from trying to generate new ways to kill them. The human team emerged cheerful, slightly dusty, and arguing about whether the plasma entities or the time-shifting murder plants would make better pets. "Thank you for the experience," Dr. Chen said, shaking the administrator's trembling appendage. "Very refreshing. Though I do have some notes on making it more challenging. Have you considered adding random gravity reversals? Or maybe some nice radiation storms? Oh, and Johnson suggests bigger predators. The ones you had were adorable but not very threatening." The administrator's form had gone pale. You want it harder? If it's not too much trouble. We've got some extreme tourism companies that would pay well for this kind of experience. Survive the ultimate Deathworld. It'll be bigger than volcano diving." As the human delegation left, chattering excitedly about marketing opportunities, the administrator turned to his assistant. "Update humanity's classification file." "To what, sir?" The administrator looked at the destruction in the testing chamber where Johnson's Sparky was still confused about being petted, where Chen's impromptu chemistry lessons had left educational diagrams in acid-resistant stone, where the humans had signed their names on the observation window with a cheerful "thanks for the fun." "Classification, do not test," he said finally. "Reason, they'll ask for harder mode." "We don't have harder mode." "They are harder mode."